These people thought you were so desperate for friendship, for relationship, that you actually would fight them to stay, but you didn't. When they want to walk away from you, let them. There are some people who think that you're so desperate for their friendship, for their relationship, that you're going to fight them to stay with you. There are some people who act like being in your life is conditional and that somehow they're doing you a favor by being around. People like that often like to hold things over you in order to manipulate you into loyalty. See, people who are always threatening to walk away from you, you need to let them go. Those are your people who typically hold your past against you, the people who typically change up and start acting funny when things start going well for you, the people who typically only are around when you're not at your best. See, people get very threatened and very angered when you start doing better because that changes the dynamic of the relationship. People who are often jealous and envious and just around you through trauma, they normally are the people who will threaten to walk away from you the moment you start doing things that make them feel uncomfortable. And it's not that you're doing things that are negative or toxic. You simply changing up and putting yourself first, you simply not being under their thumb and no longer asking for permission will cause some people to want to walk away from you. You often see this in toxic relationships with men. And it's not just men, but a lot of times women experience this the moment they go after any kind of freedom. You see, some people only want to be with you or be around you if they can control you. And that's why I always encourage women to always be somewhat independent. Even if you're in a relationship, you should still have something that you can call your own. Not because you don't trust the person you're with, but simply because it's the right thing to do as a woman. But see, people who think that you're going to fight them to stay with you simply because you're no longer under their control, those people you need to let go. I truly believe in not watering dead plants. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes, some relationships, you can tell they're already done early on before the person even walks away. These are typically your people who grow distant from you simply because you're no longer asking them permission to live your life. You're no longer allowing their bad mood, negative attitude to impact you. You often see this with your family of origin. I hate to say it, but some of us have very toxic family. Some of us have very toxic friends who are only around us due to trauma. They want to be around you when you're going through it, when you're suffering in some way, when you're struggling mentally. But the moment you start doing well, that starts making them feel uncomfortable. These people start feeling uneasy and insecure in your presence. There is no kind of relationship to be in that you have to be in low self-esteem, not feeling well, and not feeling like you have any hope in order for people to be around you. These people thought you were so desperate for their friendship, their relationship, that you would not let them walk away, but you did. See, when you stop fighting to have toxic people in your life, and I understand it because sometimes you're so used to certain people being around you, you don't even realize that they're toxic. You don't even realize that they're actually making your life worse and not better. What do I mean by this? There are some people who they might not be doing anything to you physically, but the things that they say constantly discourage you. I can tell you firsthand from experience that I was around a lot of people who would always impart negative things into me. Over years and years of dealing with that, it affected my self-esteem. It made me feel like I really didn't have anything to say. It also gave me a fear of being seen. I grew up in that be seen and not heard generation, meaning you're around, but what you say doesn't matter, you don't matter, and unless I speak to you, don't say anything. That's kind of how my childhood was. And many of you who grew up with old school parents, old school family, you know exactly what I mean. When you're dealing with people who are always trying to silence you and make you seem like your voice does not count, once you get old enough and mature as a woman, you refuse to deal with things like that. And the people who are always threatening to walk away from you, they feel like you have such desperation and low self-esteem that if they leave you, you will no longer survive. But see, people like that, what they don't understand is that they actually do you a favor when they walk away from you a lot of times. I can tell you that there have been people in my life that I thought would always be around, but somehow God allowed those relationships, allowed those friendships to deteriorate, and my life got better. You see, when people think that you won't let them walk away, they feel like they can say and do and disrespect you and manipulate you and do all kinds of things to you because you need them to be around. I'm not saying that it might not hurt when certain people leave your life, especially if it's family, if it's a sibling, if it's a parent, if it's a cousin, an auntie. Those things might hurt you, but often what happens is that your life gets better, and they don't think that it would without them. These are your people who think a little bit too highly of themselves, and they normally use the excuse, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be as great as you are. I don't like to be around people who like to lord over you all of the things that they have done for you. And that's one of the number one signs that you're dealing with somebody who always threatens to walk away from you simply because they think that you're desperate for them. See, needy energy attracts toxic people. Let me sip some of my water. As women, the one thing you do not want to do is operate in desperate, needy energy. When you operate in neediness and desperation, you will attract toxic people. You will attract people who feel like you're their project to be worked on. You're somebody who can be easily manipulated, and they expect you to be loyal to them even when they're not loyal to you. These are your people who think that you're so desperate for their friendship, for their relationship, that you will not let them walk away. When people want to leave your life, let them go, especially if you did nothing wrong. Some people simply want to leave your life because you're no longer going to allow them to disrespect you. You're no longer going to allow them to control you, and you're no longer going to allow them to manipulate you. These are your people who will typically ghost you, walk away from you when you are at your highest moments. These are your people who cannot truly support you because their insecurity will not allow them to do so. When people want to walk away from you, let them. And that leads me to the feminine queen energy. Being in the queen energy, you love people, you appreciate people, you care for people, but under no circumstances do you ever find yourself being needy for anyone. And while I don't really subscribe to the whole, woman the prize, man the prize mentality, you do have to look at yourself so valuable, so much so that you're not chasing after other people to get them to stay in your life. I am guilty of always trying to make sure, I was the one planning the events. I was the one making sure everybody gets together. But what I began to notice is that when I don't take the lead on getting everybody together or doing certain things, they didn't happen. It's like I was more concerned with seeing everyone be together than the other people were. So I had to fall back. As women, we have to get accustomed to letting people come to us and not going to them all the time. It's not about pride. It's not about thinking that you're better than someone. It's about knowing who you are as a person and that you're worth more than having to chase people and make people stay in your life. See, from a spiritual standpoint, I truly believe that the people who are meant for you will be around you, and those relationships will be reciprocal. I don't read anywhere in scripture, as I believe, where God tells me to chase people down and beg them to stay in my life. If people want to walk away from you, let them. No operating in needy energy, no operating in desperation, because the moment toxic people, negative people, especially those who are insecure and feel like they can use your weakness or what they perceive as a weakness to take advantage, they will do exactly that. And people who are toxic and like to manipulate and control other people, they often try to program you to believe that you cannot survive without them. They try to strengthen that codependency dynamic. People who are always threatening to leave your life and they expect you to fight for them to stay, They want you to be so codependent on them that they feel you can't survive without them. You see this in many abusive and toxic relationships where people don't even realize over time they're being programmed to be dependent on one person. Now, I am not saying it's not okay to depend on your husband, to depend on your mother, to depend on your children. That's what our family, friends, hopefully they're good people in your life to depend on. But even apart from them, and this is where you have to be grounded spiritually and mentally and just have that feminine queen energy, you have to be able to stand on your own regardless of who's around you, because people change. And people who feel like their loyalty to you is only dependent on how much you allow them to disrespect you, how much you allow them to manipulate you, use and abuse you, that is not a good relationship. If these kind of people want to walk away from you, let them. And don't feel guilty about it. A lot of women feel like they're obligated because we're women, because we're supposed to be gracious and merciful and kind. We often feel like we're obligated to let people misuse us or mistreat us. That is not right. As women, of course, you want to give people grace. Nobody is perfect. But if I'm being honest, a lot of people use that nobody is perfect as a precursor to do whatever disrespectful, negative thing that they're about to do. See, people who want to have you codependent on them and have you loyal to them, even though they're not truly loyal to you, they want you to feel like you should forgive, overlook every single thing that they do because it's them. And of course, you have to have forgiveness, you have to have mercy, all of that, but that doesn't always look like tolerating the behavior. If negative, toxic people want to leave your life, let them. When people think you are desperate for them to be around, that's when they'll start doing even more things to try your patience and to see exactly how loyal you are to them. Beware when somebody is taking advantage of your kindness, taking advantage of your sweethearted nature, and taking advantage of the fact that you give people chances. Look, even God doesn't give endless chances. So as women, as people, who are we to allow people to constantly misuse us, mistreat us over and over again? These people thought that you were so desperate for their friendship, for their relationship, that you would not let them go, but you did. Some people always expect a fight out of you. They expect for you to plead with them. Stay. Why are you leaving? Why are you doing this? Why are you saying that? Why are you acting this way? And the more you level up and mature as a woman, the less you care about the reason why. I have some people in the comments on other videos saying, I don't really care about these things. I don't care about that. I don't care about this. Nor should you. When I do these videos, this is about awareness. This is about knowing the signs of jealousy, envy, what have you. But under no circumstances, and pertaining to this video, when people want to leave your life, you can let them, because you no longer care about explaining and trying to get them to understand and trying to get them to see your side. It comes to a point where your peace is worth more than that relationship. When you realize your peace of mind, your spirit is worth more than that relationship, more than that friendship, you will open the door and allow people to gladly walk out of your life. It may hurt, it may feel awkward, but you have to ask yourself, was that person giving more positive things to my life, or were they bringing more negative things into my life? I have had long-term friendships, long-term relationships with family, with friends that ended because I didn't realize that having them around was bringing more harm to me than positivity. They were breaking my spirit instead of encouraging it. There are some people that you absolutely have to cut off. And this does not mean that you lose all love for them, that you lose all care or concern for them. But this does mean that you start protecting yourself, guarding your peace, guarding your heart a little bit better than what you were before. Some of us leave ourselves wide open for people to take advantage and get over on us simply because we're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And contrary to popular belief, you can forgive people and still not have them in your immediate circle of influence. You can still care for people, love people, and not have them around you all the time. Some of the best relationships with family and friends work out better the less you see them. I know for myself, when I cut down on how often I was seeing certain family members, our relationship got better. When I started seeing them maybe once a month, once every couple months, that time we spent together was great. But seeing them every week, talking on the phone every other day, a lot of tension, a lot of uneasiness, a lot of frustration because they just did too much. And sometimes it's like that. But when people feel like the only way you can survive is for them to be in your life and constantly mistreat you, take advantage, and somehow try to belittle you all the time, let them leave. They thought you would never be okay because, see, you might be a woman who's very passionate, and a lot of women live in their emotions. We are very emotional. But when you allow your emotions to control you to the point that you're fighting for toxicity to stay in your life, that's when you have to get your emotions in check and realize that you're allowing people to play with your emotions. Been there, done that. And the more you go through things like that, the more you realize it's worth letting people walk away. It's all right. If you want to go, you don't want to call me no more. You don't want to invite me to the events. You don't want to, text me. That's perfectly fine. Because suddenly my life got a lot more peaceful once you walked away. No desperate energy, no neediness, no codependency, because people who like to control, they're always depending on you to be codependent. And just a little bit on that part. I can say for myself, there are certain people in my life that I love and depend on, and I really would not like to see my life without them. But spiritually, I understand that my source has to be God and God alone. So when you have that kind of mindset where you're grounded mentally and spiritually, if people decide to walk away from you, you might not understand it, but you're okay with it. The days of fighting to get people to see your worth, and really this is what it all comes down to. Fighting to get people to see your value and why they should stay with you or stay around you, that's over. As women, as you get older and mature and become more mentally and spiritually grounded, if people don't see the value that you bring to their lives, let them leave. Period. These people thought you would fight to keep them in your life, and you didn't. You let them go. When people want to walk away from you, let them. It might hurt, but all the over-explaining, and honestly, when people decide they want to leave your life, they've already thought about that for a very long time. Very rarely is there anything you can do or say to get people to change their mind once they decided they want to go, or they want to somehow cut you off or put you at a distance from them. And that's okay. There are other people who will love you, who will encourage you, who will support you and care for you, and it will not be dependent on how much you allow them to disrespect you, manipulate, or control you. All right? If people want to walk away from you, let them go. Like, subscribe, and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.